Hi there, welcome to our special episode tonight, Facebook Live. I'm super excited about tonight. I told everybody last night that I have a special guest. This is Emily Nielsen. She is amazing. First of all, she's super cute, you know. But just to give you a little bit of background, and hopefully you've joined us on purpose. Hopefully you know why we're here tonight. But just a little bit of background. I'm going to let her jump in here too. Of course, she knows more about herself than I do.
I'm an expert, actually.
Hopefully. But I know Emily because, you know, we have a common interest in nutrition. And Emily is this incredible woman. She is mother of 4. And she has just received her credentials to practice in the state of Washington as a certified nutritionist.
Yeah, I just graduated with my master's degree.
Fabulous.
Ready to go.
So she's so smart.
Totally.
You know, and one of the things that I've learned is that, you know, you can't be an expert in everything. So there's nothing wrong with that. If you don't know, you search out somebody who is. And what I love about Emily is she's got a great passion for helping people and for solving some issues with health. And she's going to tell you a little bit about that. We're going to start out with a little bit about her background and how she decided to become so passionate about nutrition. She's definitely, her expertise is in gut health and how that plays such a huge role in your health, your physical and your mental and emotional health as well.
Absolutely.
And so tell us a little bit about your background and how you kind of got into the role that you play now.
Yeah, so I grew up in a really typical American, home. I was that kid that had the chronic ear infections and was on antibiotics all the time, had the nervous tummy, and so couldn't go to school because I had a tummy ache and all those kind of things, but nothing that was glaringly medically wrong with me. Started having some gut issues in high school, stressing out about stuff, had really bad periods, the whole 9 yards, got diagnosed with endometriosis, and that was just started the chain reaction of health problems for me. In my mid-20s, I was married, had 2 kids, a dog, the house, the whole 9 yards, and I twisted my ankle. I fell off a ladder.
Okay.
Not that far, didn't break it, nothing catastrophic, but that my body took that moment, that little injury, as an opportunity to mutiny against me.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, so I had a massive health crisis. I went from being a fairly active mom of 2 young boys to being bedbound, diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome and IBS and reflexive sympathetic dystrophy. Basically, it came down to my body felt like it was on fire all the time. I was in extreme pain. It was like lupus, but for your nervous system. Agony. I turned to nutrition and kind of this more integrative medicine when my doctor said the last chance for you, after I was having, spinal injections and on dozens of prescription meds and was basically like this shell of a human being. He said the only chance for you is if we put you in a ketamine-induced coma and try to reset your system.
Wow.
So it was not really an option for me. I wasn't willing to say goodbye to my 2 young boys and my husband potentially being, never coming out of a coma. So I went to the dark side of medicine and started finding other ways to heal myself. And so I found integrative nutrition and health and became my passion. Slowly got off all my meds, became back to myself again, and now am the healthiest I've ever been. At 33 years old, I can look back at being 12 and say that I'm healthier than I was when I was 12.
Wow, that's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Pretty incredible. So would you say that you basically kind of solved your own issues through everything that you've learned?
Yeah, and I was really put in the right place at the right time a lot, which I think is so key, to be led down some different paths, to have some amazing mentors, to have people praying for me. I mean, just that guidance. But I would definitely say that it was nothing that traditional medicine could have ever helped me with. I don't think so. Yeah.
Right. So, and so through that, you've obviously learned a lot about how gut health plays such a huge role.
Oh my goodness.
And how important would you say that is?
Yeah. So in my journey, when I turned the corner for good, I was like, oh, actually this is working, was when I decided to rebuild my gut. Okay. And so I dug down and I went down that rabbit hole and I just discovered everything I could about it. Followed a bunch of amazing mentors at my university that are published authors, Liz Lipsky and others that have traveled the world and written books and been published and have PhDs and all these things in the connections of gut health and all the things.
Yeah.
So it's almost impossible. Like, you could spout off any chronic condition or anything from asthma, arthritis, acne. Wow. I can only think of A words right now.
That's all right.
Alzheimer's. And we could go back to the root cause of an imbalanced gut and figure out if the gut is not the actual cause for that, how we could aid that by dealing with gut health. It is all encompassing.
So would you say that there are a lot of common issues that people currently have today that can actually be at least helped or even solved or resolved by working with some deficiencies in the gut?
Absolutely. It's shocking the kind of results you can get with minimal interventions, with changing what you're putting in, with dealing with stress and dealing with sleep, and then addressing gut rebuilding. So people, if anyone out there, you raise your hand, you have IBS. I don't know of many people that haven't been told they have IBS or some form of gut imbalance, and it's pretty amazing the turnaround that people can have and the healing. Instead of just coping and dealing, you turn it around. So people would say, well, I took gluten out and I didn't feel better. Or I took it out for a little while and then when I added it back in, I felt bad again, or every time I eat it, whatever. So you're addressing some intolerances, and that's great. You're like moving in the right direction. But until you rebuild that lining. So the gut is sensitive. She can be a fickle beast.
Right.
But
so from what I've read, at least at this point, because of course I do a lot of research at this point, everybody's different, and I want to know. I love to learn.
Me too.
It kind of sounds to me like it's a combination of maybe some trauma at some point in someone's life, whether it be physical or maybe even in a mental or emotional trauma, death in the family, plus possible allergens to the system, even maybe sometimes.
100%.
And so kind of it's almost like an A plus B actually ends up equaling C, but that causes kind of a chain reaction. Does that sound?
Yeah, so it's kind of like, so if we're talking about like autoimmune conditions, the gut is a huge factor in autoimmunity. I mean, massive. So if you look at an autoimmune disease, your immune system, its job is to be like, is it an us versus them kind of deal? We fight off invaders, whatever.
Infections, bacteria.
Which, for those of you that are wondering, any food-like substance, so processed food, something that was built in a lab, preservatives, colors, your body does not recognize those.
She's talked about this before.
Oh, have you?
Oh, yes.
As actual food. So you are creating an immune response. Inflammation, right? We always talk about inflammation at the core, of any health concern.
Definitely.
So if we're looking at the immune system, to trigger an autoimmune condition, there's got to be some underlying genetics. I can't help you change that.
Yeah,
like
predispositions on that.
That's how you go. And then you've got environmental exposure. So like you said, your trigger. So a trauma, it could be a bacterial infection. Oh, you got a parasite. People say, it was a trigger. I got a really bad, I got really sick in Mexico when I was having so much fun in Cancun or whatever else it was.
Right.
They say this was the trigger. And then the third one is a leaky gut, or
I've heard about that.
Yes. Okay. So leaky gut is not bogus. It is a real thing. What happens is your gut, I'll do this. Your gut is made up of epithelial cells. It's like these. They're like these guys. And as things are going through the nutrients, right, that hopefully you've chewed really well and you've digested and you ate slowly in a peaceful situation, it's going through, and there's all these little hairs called microvilli, and they're drawing out the nutrients from your food and bringing it in, and it's all the good stuff and helping it move it along. So processed food or traumatic foods or having a bad experience, these microvilli get smushed down. They're like, if you like to think of a little sea anemone, right? It's got those cute little tentacles or whatever. They're getting flattened and they're getting damaged. And the more damage that happens, or if you are having inflammation, like perpetual, either whether it's prolonged stress exposure, whether it's foods that you're intolerant to or that are cause inflammation. So gluten, I'm not an anti-gluten dairy person, but they are highly inflammatory foods. So it triggers an inflammatory response. What happens is these little cells, in between them is called tight junctions, and when they get open just a little bit or they get damaged, which people that are predisposed because of genetics or their diet or their lifestyle, lots of stress.
Okay.
Larger particles or proteins are getting through, and your body is creating an immune response to those things. So, like, I don't think eggs are bad for you, right? But a lot of people are allergic to eggs. Peanut allergies are good. I mean, everyone knows someone with a food allergy. You can't not know someone with a food allergy or intolerance or something, you know, gives them gas or bloating or diarrhea, or they don't know what it is. There's like, well, sometimes I can eat this and it's fine, and sometimes I can't, or it can be so challenging to navigate alone. And so, if you take the food out, you're limiting that reaction, but you're not healing the tight junction.
Okay.
And actually healing the body. So you got to go a step further to gut healing.
Okay.
So that's one of my big things with clients, is that it's great that if you do an elimination diet, or you're trying to remove processed foods and eat more whole foods and feed your body the nutrients it needs, you still got to heal the gut.
Right. Makes sense. So it's kind of like a lot of times when we get the doctor tells you what's wrong, and he might treat the symptoms, but not the underlying issue or the problem, what's causing the problem.
Yeah, so, and that's totally how I practice. It's called a functional approach. So we look at it's a very person-centered. It's not symptom-based.
Right.
It's like look at the core imbalance.
It's holistic.
Yeah, well, functional.
Functional.
How about functional?
Yeah. Well, I say holistic just in the way that I believe that everything is interrelated.
Yeah.
And that sometimes we look at just the issue and we don't approach it from multi directions, and that's important to to solve that. So
huge.
Right. So what would you say are some of the most common issues that you see that people have?
Oh man, I get a lot of people that are increasing their food allergies, like I talked about. So,
right.
I was only allergic to this, and now I feel like I can't eat these foods, and now I don't know what's causing me to have diarrhea or constipation or whatever else it is.
Do you feel like that? To me, it just seems like even in the last 15-ish years that food allergies in general have just exploded. I kind of attribute that to processed food in general. I mean, does that
so hard on your system?
Yeah.
The way that food is being grown. I mean, we are getting so far away from what the actual, like, what our biology has been able. It's not like all of a sudden, half of America woke up and is sensitive to gluten.
Right.
What has changed when we have been eating wheat as a species for however many thousands of years that now we can't tolerate it? What happened to the seed? What happened to the way it was grown? I mean,
can you say GMO?
I'm saying nothing.
No. So food intolerances.
Yeah. Irritable bowel syndrome. I feel like everyone goes, when you go to the doctor and you have this set of symptoms and you've got this cranky gut, right? It's not happy. You get stressed out. You have problems. You're really feeling run down. You're tired all the time. You're not sleeping well. But at the core, you're complaining about your gut health. You get diagnosed with IBS or told, well, you've got irritable bowel. Which irritable bowel is just like cranky belly, right? Like irritable.
Right.
I mean, so instead of, I see a lot of people on like Prilosec, acid blockers, that kind of stuff. Yeah. Which can be really hard. To digest, to actually get the nutrition you need if you're blocking the acid, because the acid breaks down the food, and if you're not breaking it down, you're not really actually absorbing those nutrients.
Sure.
So, IBS, allergies, inflammation. People are just sore, joint pain.
Right.
Insomnia, migraines is a huge connection to food and gut health. Massive.
You know what I find kind of actually disturbing a little bit is that most people are not necessarily willing to get to the root of it, and I don't know if that's just because there are certain foods they're not really wanting to give up, and they just don't want to get to that point where the truth kind of limits what I get it, like who wants to cut out gluten and pizza and all the goodies, but I mean, do you feel like if we just really went back to whole nutritious foods, organically grown, things that were grown in the way they were designed to be, that we would kind of get rid of a lot of the issues that we're seeing?
I think moving to a whole foods diet is definitely the way to live long and happy and healthy.
Yeah.
I hear you, pizza lovers out there, because the truth is that I want to get my clients, and I'm sure you too, to a place of resilience where you can go out and have a piece of pizza or cake at your kid's birthday party and not feel like crap afterwards. or not be tired all the time or whatever else it is. So
yeah, as long as we do that in a balanced fashion where
absolutely.
it's not
we're not
daily.
binging. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so it becomes a once in a while kind of a thing.
Exactly,
right? Yeah.
exactly. And but yeah, I Whole Foods is, you know, definitely the way to go, and getting really nutrient dense about it. So it's about adding things in so many times, not always about taking things out. Like, there is a way to have grains and have them be incredibly like helpful for you.
Right.
And yeah.
And it's kind of sad that, of course, that we don't teach these things in school anymore, you know, or at all. You know, that we're having to look outside for education about foods and nutrition and exercise. At least I didn't learn a whole lot about it when I was in high school. I've actually had to educate myself as an adult. So, you know, we kind of need to get back to basics. And now that we're dealing with all these, it kind of takes like the fire in order to actually, okay, now we got to put out the fire versus being a little more proactive about being healthy, right?
Yeah.
So what would you say are 3 simple changes, or at least 3 ideas that anyone can do at this point in order to improve their gut health?
Oh man, she said pick 3, and I was like, you mean 300 things? Because of the way that I practice, which is really individual. I really love to give people like their top 3 when they come to me and they have their 3 issues. In general, a huge one is Whole Foods breakfast.
Hey.
So, Dr. Natasha Campbell McBride is an author about the gut and brain psychology, gut and psychology syndrome.
Okay.
And she talks a lot about the gut-brain connection. Anybody out there like tired, brain fog, like a little cobwebby, depressed? Did you know 90% plus, upwards more than 90% of your serotonin is produced in your gut?
Really?
So if you've got tummy trouble, or even south of there, and you're depressed, or you're feeling depressed, that's a huge connection. But she talks about how, like, a processed food for breakfast, as your body has detoxified in sleep, right? And you're resetting your systems. You wake up, your little microvilli that I talked about, they're getting ready to, hopefully they're not damaged beyond complete, you know, helplessness, and they're starting to wake up, and then we basically like shove cardboard and just flatten them with our cereal or our bagel or whatever else it is.
But I thought bagels were healthy.
Okay, well,
I'm totally being sarcastic right now.
So Whole Foods breakfast, and I mean local eggs. Have you tried a local good egg compared to a normal one?
Totally different.
Totally different. Overnight steel cut oats with, you know, good fat, or I mean, savory. I go savory.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be sweet. So, you know, from experience, I would say that really the biggest thing for people is just to be more prepared.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that takes an extra step. It really does, you know, maybe preparing the night before. The overnight oats is a great option. And making sure that you have the right foods on hand versus, oh no, I'm running late for whatever, and now I need to grab a Pop-Tart. You know, you have to live on purpose to be healthy. You can't just, you know, last minute figure something out as you go. That's what drive-through food is, and that's why we're so damaged.
I don't know. I have eaten a lot of leftovers for breakfast. People don't often think about.
That's true.
Like,
that's a great idea.
Why can I not have vegetable soup for breakfast if that's what sounds good to me?
You absolutely can.
It's warm. It's delicious. And quick and easy because I had vegetable soup the night before.
Yeah, there's breakfast food does not have to be breakfast food. Yeah. It can be what.
And if you've lived anywhere besides the U.S., you know that breakfast food is not like that. We've lived in Thailand and Mexico, and it's not like there's no such thing as cereal for breakfast. It's stir fry with rice or whatever.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
that works. So, you know, people who say, well, I don't like breakfast food. Okay, so pick something different.
Yeah.
That actually works very well.
So number 2, I'm going to take up your whole time.
Yeah, that's all right.
So I would say do a little research on microbiome health. This is an emerging science that is phenomenal. Phenomenal.
Okay.
I just did a talk at PNNL about the microbiome, and I could have talked for like 700 hours, but I only had an hour. Yeah. And it's just mind-blowing. So in your food, well, you know, I'm sure you tell your clients this, but every time you eat, you're feeding feeding disease or you're fighting it. Like there's totally no in between.
I agree.
There's no wishy-washy about it. And so the microbiome, which is your bacteria that lives in and on you.
Okay.
There's trillions of them.
Right.
It's like so many bugs in and on you. So what are we feeding the bugs? So all the preservatives that are in processed food, like maltodextrin, emulsifiers. Maltodextrin has been shown to increase your risk of pathogenic bacteria exposure because it kills good bacteria and it feeds bad bacteria.
Interesting.
Okay. Emulsifiers have been shown in these germ-free mice to actually increase risk of metabolic syndrome. So your fat-free, wheat thins or whatever may be really low calorie, but if you're killing the bugs that help prevent, your fat and obesity and metabolic syndrome, and you're feeding the ones that promote it in all of the solid research, it's really hard to get back to ground zero where your body is fighting disease. And then if you're not going to feed it the bad bugs, let's feed the good bugs with prebiotic foods. And I can post a list. Yeah. Okay. So prebiotic basically means probiotics. I'm sure you've seen at the store.
Yes. Right.
Which can be challenging to find a good probiotic and know your strains, and that's why you hire a nutritionist, because it's really confusing.
Yeah.
We can talk strains of bacteria for days, or probiotics for days, and how it correlates with specific disease states and which ones target which systems. It's phenomenal. That's my word today, apparently.
That's all right. I use fantastic. So.
Fantastic is yours?
Yeah.
Nice. And then the prebiotic foods are what feed the good bacteria, the commensal bacteria. Okay. And I'll post a list underneath, but things like coconut kefir, apples, onions, leeks, jicama, miso.
Love jicama.
Miso, 130, no, is it 300? Somebody fact check me later. It's like 300 plus strains of good probiotics. You can't even get that but just in a good organic miso soup. Who doesn't like miso?
I just like food in general. So I know that one of the things that we've kind of just touched briefly on, and I know you brought a book with you. Just briefly tell me a little bit about fermentation.
Oh my goodness, I'm a geek for it. So I'm not great at it yet. It does take a little bit of time, but fermented foods are a great way to increase. So what we're looking for in the microbiome is diversity.
Okay.
And quantity.
Okay.
We want a good, diverse microbiome that's high in beneficial commensal bacteria.
Okay.
It's helping us fight disease. It's reducing inflammation, and not the bad guys. The bad guys actually create the cytokine reaction, which is inflammatory.
Right. Okay.
And can cause so many problems.
Wow.
Brain fog, and we're talking neurotransmitters, and things that are going to change your life here.
Right. Okay.
What was the original question?
Fermentation.
Oh yeah. So fermented foods. I just nerd out
obviously
about it.
Passionate about what she's talking about.
Nerd out about it.
That's all right.
So fermented foods are a really great way because they literally. I'll post a recipe for you. If you take a cabbage, bonus points for local, like grown in the ground
farmers
cabbage. Yeah. Cut it up, massage it with some good sea salt, and stick it in a jar on the counter. And I'll give you a few more directions, but that's just basically it.
Okay.
You're going to have a more diverse, healthful, from your local region, going to help fight allergies and all those things, fermented probiotic than if you were popping 5, Walmart brand probiotics that are likely dead strains or not beneficial to you or not targeted or things like that. There are several brands that I recommend, especially for people in certain circumstances.
Okay.
But yeah.
Whole foods, just taking basically locally grown foods in general gives you so much better options in the way of nutrients and what you're trying to accomplish than any supplement ever can.
Yeah.
Because that's what was designed for us as humans, was to eat food. Right? You think
it's so simple when you say it like
I
that.
know.
Don't
But yet we all want to go through the drive-thru. So, if you're interested in some more information, we're gonna leave you some information down below. What's the best way if somebody wants to talk to you? Maybe they've had some issues with irritable bowel syndrome, or they're just really wanting to find out more about their system. Some really chronic issues that they might have going on, what's the best way for somebody to get a hold of you?
Yeah, so you can link up to my Facebook page, which is Nielsen Integrative Nutrition, which is kind of long, but I'll add a link under here for you for that.
Yeah.
My website is also nielsennutrition.com, and that's Nielsen with an E-N, not an O-N at the end, because I don't know what you'll find if you look that up, but it won't be me. My face is right on the front page. Just get a good look.
Yeah.
And I love with my clients, especially do like some kind of free 15-minute, phone call, face-to-face, whatever else it is, because I know people are struggling and, to discuss my, kind of my philosophy, but also what their goals are and how best I could help them. So they kind of know it. You know what you're getting into when you...
So a little bit of a consultation.
When you come to see me. Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. And we'll definitely, like I said, we'll put some of that information below. If you're actually watching this through my website on my vlog page, one way or another, I will get you that information so that one way, you can get a hold of her if necessary. She is local to us in Washington State, in the Tri-Cities. So if you are local to her, I do believe that you do also
I do telehealth. Absolutely.
Okay.
I have a HIPAA compliant platform that I use, so I can do telehealth and
perfect.
The whole 9
So
years.
even if you are not local and you are still interested, there is a way to talk to her, which of course, it can do nothing but help. So pretty excited about that. So I appreciate you coming tonight. Do you have any last thoughts or tips that you want to leave with them to think about tonight?
I just want to give people hope. I know a lot of people are struggling, and the idea of having to be tired and, depressed and whatever else it is, and think about cutting out all the foods that you feel like are getting you through the day, or like, heaven forbid, she tells me not to drink coffee or whatever else it is. It's not like a win, lose, or fail kind of thing. It's a process, and I truly believe that, people can heal from these chronic diseases that you've been told you're going to live with the rest of your life. You can live well, so don't give up. I was bedbound. Since then, I've had 2 more kids and traveled around the world, and there's no explanation except for block by block being built back up from the inside out, because health starts from within. So.
It does. And I've worked with enough clients that have had some pretty intense issues, sicknesses, autoimmune diseases, and they kind of get to the point where they feel like, okay, is this the way that the rest of my life is going to be? And it's very depressing and frustrating to think about, but there's always hope. And sometimes it just takes somebody going through the pain of all that and learning how to fix themselves in order to be able to help other people do that. And so we appreciate that you've taken all those crazy things that happened to you when you were younger, and have designed a way to help people, and we love that. So super excited. So I'm super happy to have her here tonight. Emily Nielsen, she's amazing. I believe that everybody is put in your life for a reason. Things happen to you for a reason. And so hopefully somebody out there tonight has seen this and has decided, you know what, maybe I'll give her a call and do something about it, because my goal for you is to be the most healthy, happy person that you can in this life. That's why we're here. We're here to be happy, and we're here to help each other. So
and have fun.
And absolutely. Why not? It's not worth it if you're not having a good time. So again, we'll leave all that information below. If you have any other questions, please either direct message me or leave a comment below. We will get back to you. That is our goal, is to help you in whatever issue that you're dealing with. And so until next time, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
It's been awesome.
Hopefully I didn't nerd all over you.
No, that's all right. Hey, I'm my own kind of nerd, so we're all good with it.
Awesome.
But have an incredible night, everybody, and we'll see you next week.